There are small habits you repeat every single day that feel harmless, almost invisible. Yet these same habits might be quietly draining your confidence, your peace, and even your identity. And the most unsettling part is that you don't notice them happening until the damage is already done. If you've ever felt drained for no clear reason, or stuck in patterns you can't explain, what you're about to discover may finally make everything click. Today, you're going to learn 10 subtle habits that silently sabotage your mental health. These aren't obvious or dramatic behaviors. They're quiet patterns that slowly reshape your thoughts and emotions. And if you stay until the end, you'll understand not only how these habits work, but how they rewire your brain over time. Most importantly, you'll learn how to break them before they break you. Let's get into it. The first habit that quietly destroys your mental health is the constant tendency to compare yourself to others. You might not notice it because it happens in tiny flashes, scrolling through social media, hearing about someone else's success, or watching others accomplish what you've been dreaming of. Comparison creates a silent erosion of your self-worth. Psychologists call this upward comparison, and while it can motivate some people, most end up feeling inferior. Imagine running your own race, but looking to your left and right every few seconds. Eventually, you trip because you were never focused on your lane. This habit drains you without making a sound. Another habit that chips away at your emotional stability is suppressing your feelings. Many people learn early in life to stay quiet, stay strong, or stay composed. But emotional suppression doesn't make pain disappear, it just forces it deeper. Over time, this builds internal pressure. Think of it like shaking a bottle of soda and pretending it won't explode when opened. Research shows that suppressing emotions increases stress, raises blood pressure, and even weakens your immune system. I'll explain later why this is far more harmful than you think, so make sure you keep watching. A third hidden habit is overthinking. It feels like you're being responsible or careful, but in reality, your mind ends up stuck in loops that never lead to action. Overthinking distorts reality. It turns small problems into impossible ones. Psychologists refer to this as rumination, and it's strongly linked to anxiety and depression. You replay conversations, search for meaning in every silence, and mentally prepare for disasters that will never happen. The result? You exhaust yourself with scenarios that only exist in your head. Then there's the habit of saying yes when everything inside you is screaming no. People-pleasing looks kind on the surface, but it quietly steals pieces of you. Every forced yes is a small betrayal of your own needs. Over time, you stop recognizing what you actually want. You become a character playing a role in other people's lives. Studies on boundary setting reveal that individuals who constantly sacrifice themselves eventually experience burnout and resentment. This is one of the fastest ways to lose yourself without realizing it. Another subtle but destructive habit is avoiding discomfort. Every time you dodge a difficult task, avoid an awkward conversation, or push away something that scares you, you teach your brain that fear wins. And your brain listens. Avoidance becomes a pattern that shrinks your world and limits your potential. Over time, the things you fear grow larger in your mind, even though they haven't changed in real life. This is why therapists often use exposure-based techniques. Facing discomfort rewires your brain, while avoiding it reinforces anxiety. There's also the hidden habit of isolating yourself when you're struggling. It feels safer to retreat, to turn inward, or to shut down. But isolation amplifies negative emotions. The more time you spend alone in your own thoughts, the more distorted your inner world becomes. Humans are wired for connection. Our nervous systems literally calm down when we feel supported. This is why sharing your struggles can be one of the most powerful forms of emotional regulation. The next point will surprise you, because it explains why isolation becomes so tempting even when it hurts. Another habit is constantly consuming negative information. Whether it's news, online drama, arguments, or stressful content, your brain absorbs the emotional tone of what you feed it. This is called emotional contagion, the idea that moods spread like viruses. Even if you think you're just keeping up with events. Your nervous system may be interpreting everything as danger. Over time, this constant alert state increases anxiety, irritability, and hopelessness. You become mentally exhausted without understanding why. One of the most overlooked habits that slowly damages mental health is neglecting your physical needs. Lack of sleep, skipping meals, ignoring your body's signals. These things don't just affect your energy. They affect your mood, decision-making, and emotional resilience. The mind and body are deeply connected. Research consistently shows that sleep deprivation alone makes the brain more reactive to negative stimuli. When your body is running on empty, your emotions follow. There's also the habit of perfectionism, setting impossible standards for yourself and then punishing yourself when you fall short. Perfectionism looks like ambition, but underneath it is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. This is why perfectionists are often the most anxious people in the room. They live in a constant state of almost good enough, never feeling satisfied with anything they accomplish. This habit can be so deeply rooted that you don't even recognize it's happening. Finally, one of the most damaging habits is pretending you're okay when you're not. This is the mask many people wear, smiling, pushing through, acting unaffected. But pretending takes energy. It forces your mind to carry the weight of your struggles in silence. Over time, this creates emotional exhaustion. People often think vulnerability is weakness, but studies show that authentic expression actually strengthens mental resilience. Being honest with yourself is the first step toward healing. A few years ago, a college student named Lena became a case study in quiet mental health decline. On the surface, she was high-achieving, friendly, and always composed. But behind the scenes, she carried every habit we just talked about: constant comparison to classmates, isolated studying, perfectionism, and emotional suppression. Her turning point came when she finally spoke to a counselor who helped her see that her problem wasn't one massive issue. It was thousands of tiny habits stacked over months. Once she addressed just two of them, overthinking and people-pleasing, her anxiety levels dropped dramatically. Her story is a reminder that mental health rarely collapses all at once. It erodes slowly, habit by habit. These habits are small, but their impact is enormous. The good news is that awareness alone can start to break the cycle. Once you recognize what's draining your mental health, you can begin to rebuild your emotional strength, reconnect with yourself, and reclaim your peace. If you want more videos like this, deep dives into psychology, human behavior, and self-improvement, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You're not alone on this journey, and your healing starts with understanding.